It's with great pleasure that I stand to rise in the House today to mark International Women's Day 2026 and to celebrate the women of Newcastle in particular, but also the Hunter and our nation who continue to organise, to lead, to care, create, advocate and fight for an equal Australia. International Women's Day is always a moment to reflect on how far women have come, but also, to be honest, about how far we still have to go. And progress does not happen by accident. It's a lot of careful design in making incremental change towards equality in Australia. Progress happens because women organise for it, and it happens because unions fight for it, and it happens because communities demand it, and it happens because governments might choose to act. And that's why I am so proud to be part of an Albanese Labor government that has made gender equality a central feature of all our thinking. It's not just a matter of policy, as important as that is. It's a priority and a fundamental principle for every one of us in the Australian Labor Party. I need just point to the very long journey that was establishing affirmative action within the Australian Labor Party, a journey that I've been part of for more than 30 years. And now I get to stand in front of, off the back of all that hard work for 3 decades where women stood up in our party rooms and demanded equality, demanded an equal seat at the table. And so I sit with my sisters, my Labor sisters here, and indeed a sister from the National Party, the seat of Lyons, but you know, the member for Melbourne and the member for Cunningham, we're all beneficiaries of that hard work that was done in the Australian Labor Party and the wider Labor movement. And it is today, you know, we sit in Australia's first ever majority female government, Australia's first ever majority cabinet, female cabinet. And I do want to stress that, you know, when I have a lot of young women that come and talk to me about entering politics and actively encouraging them to do so, but I really emphasise the point, some things you've got to be in it for the long haul. There are no quick fixes for a lot of those structural inequalities that continue to exist in Australia. And I think if anything is to be learnt from the 30-year journey of the Australian Labor Party, and I say this with kindness and sincerity to the national member sitting opposite me, you know, there are really important lessons to be learnt about how you generate an environment within your party rooms and the party structures to ensure that women are equal partners. And it's a hard road, I don't underestimate it, and I know that it's something that occupies the minds of all women in Parliament, and wherever we can lend support to ensure that there's more women getting a seat at the tables in whatever party room they stand in, that's a good thing. Over the last term, Labor delivered on a lot of reforms that are making a huge difference now to women's lives, and that's the hard policy work that we did to come to government, talking with Australian women in the regions across Australia, making sure that we were crafting policy that spoke to the lives of Australian women. So we've strengthened workplace rights. We've delivered on the 10 days paid family and domestic violence leave. It's a matter that is a huge issue in all of our electorates. So this is not, you know, this is not something that is peculiar to Labor women's interests here, but we know that it's family and domestic violence is a scourge, and it occurs throughout our communities in every economic band within our communities and all geographical locations. So having a policy focus that strengthens those workplace rights rights, delivers on the 10-day paid family and domestic violence leave, expands paid parental leave, improving job security and wages, increasing transparency around the gender pay gaps, and putting women's economic equality back where it belongs, at the centre of national policy. That's been the focus of our term of government, making sure that women have economic security, that there's an equitable arrangement there in terms of workplace rights, parental leave rights, the gender pay gaps, to ensure that our national policy reflects the reality, and that is that we want to see women being able to participate fully in our, as productive members of our economy and our society. And in this term, that work will continue. We're building on those strong foundations from the last term with further expansion on paid parental leave, including paying superannuation for the first time ever on government-paid parental leave. I've got to tell you, when I tell young women that they don't get paid superannuation, well, they didn't until now, thanks to the Labor government, they don't get superannuation on their paid parental leave, they are horrified. They had no idea of this inequity that exists. But it is a really critical part of why there is profound inequality in the retirement incomes of Australian men and women. Every time women take a break out of the workforce, they were being penalised, not by just the lack of employer contributions, but no super being paid on their parental leave, even if it was paid by the government or employers at the time. We're demanding greater transparency and accountability on the gender pay equity. We're reducing that really stubborn gender pay gap in Australia. It's down to 11.3, I think, now. But that is still too much. That's still too big a gap. It's the lowest it's ever been in Australia, which is shocking, but a lot of hard work still to be done on that front. We've got some major new investments into women's health. I'm so proud of the work that's been done there. Better access to contraception and menopause care, and to support more women for dealing with endometriosis and pelvic pain. For too long, women were just told, you know, that's a woman's lot, and we've seen the, you know, sometimes catastrophic results of that really poor understanding of endometriosis and pelvic pain. Finally, we've got dedicated clinics where women with confidence can walk in and know they'll be heard, listened and taken seriously, and that pain is not something they have to live with for the rest of their lives. These reforms matter. They matter because equality is not abstract. It's about whether a woman can afford to leave a violent relationship, whether she can return to work after having a child without being penalised for it, whether her work is properly valued, whether she can access the healthcare she needs, whether she can participate fully and safely in public life, and whether the next generation of girls grow up with more freedom, more safety and more opportunity than the generation before. That's what real progress looks like, not just words, but structural change. Of course, the story of International Women's Day has always belonged not just to the parliaments but to the movements. And over the weekend I was so proud to see that spirit alive and well in Newcastle. On Friday evening I joined with the Hunter Workers Women's Committee International Day dinner that they held at Club Charlestown. It was a wonderful night of solidarity, community and celebration. On Sunday morning I was proud to stand with our community again as many marched in the International Women's Day rally and the march at Gregson Park in Hamilton. And I just want to put on my record my sincere thanks to the Hunter Workers Women's Committee for the extraordinary amount of work that went into this entire weekend. I know on the Saturday they ran a whole festival of events for women, and these events, they just don't happen without a lot of volunteering and collective effort. Year after year, the committee helps create space for women to come together in solidarity, to celebrate achievements and to reflect on the struggles that remain. I want to also just give a shout out to the remarkable Timeless Textiles and the Wednesday Women's Group. I was so honoured to launch the Inspiring Women in Stitch exhibition and to thank you for your creativity, skills and ongoing connection and work in our community. Happy International Women's Day.